Hello everyone. I guess I'm online now. Hello everyone, and thank you very much for joining today's stream. It is Saturday, so happy Saturday, everybody. Hope you will have a great weekend. It's 4th of April, sorry, 4th of April, 1500 hours or 3 p.m. Moscow time, and I have prepared quite a number of news on some major developments that I will go through during the program. Although I think if there is interest of community, we can have a community chat also. Usually we do community chat on Sundays, so we will have a big community chat tomorrow, of course. But if there is any interest, we can take 15, 20 minutes or half an hour maybe to exchange opinions after news segment. Of course, if you will drop question or the comment that will be directed at me, just use capital Q or capital letters so that I will spot it easier. And I just reminded you, friends, that unlike work days when my shows are unlisted and original links are published on my Patreon and Boosty, on weekends, videos stay open, videos stay public. Just saying, but nevertheless, if you like my work and want to follow or support her, will be great, of course, if you will join our community on Patreon or Boosty, by the way, for that matter. I will drop in the chat now link to my Patreon page where all the original links are published of all my live streams and stuff should be visible now. I will drop link in Rumble also. And okay, if there is any super chat on the Rumble during the live stream, of course, I will start responding from those super chats. And also, if there is any questions or the comments from other supporter platforms, PayPal, for example, or Boosty, all the links basically are under this video in the description box, so that you know. Okay, that's been said. Let's go through some news now, and I will start. Of course, with the proxy war that West is waging against Russia, with update about work of Russian air defense systems past night, and the latest reports are from Defense Ministry that 85 drones that were launched by Kyiv regime with assistance of NATO were intercepted over the Belgorod, Bryansk, Voronezh, Kursk, Oryol, Rostov, Samara, Saratov, and the Tula regions, Republic of Crimea, and the Black Sea. This is the quite vast geography of these long-range attacks that NATO is orchestrating, unfortunately, against Russian Federation on daily basis. So we have reports that one person was killed in an airstrike by Kyiv regime's forces on the Rostov region. And there were also reports about these NATO-Ukrainian attacks on Toliati city, where some industrial areas, according to a number of reports, were targeted. If there will be any updates about destruction or the casualties during these strikes, of course, I will share additional information in my next program. Also, dear friends, I think it's worth noticing that Sweden has detained yet another tanker which was heading from Russia. Swedish Coast Guard detained the oil tanker Flora 1 on Friday. That happened Friday morning, which is allegedly part of Russia's shadow fleet on suspicion of polluting the environment. Yeah, I mean, with such suspicion, you can detain literally any vessel, isn't it? Literally any vessel. The tanker is on the EU sanctions list. Excuse me. Flora 1 left Ust-Luga port, which was heavily targeted by NATO and the Kyiv regime in past few weeks, on Tuesday, and was sailing under the flag of Sierra Leone, with its destination being Brazilian port of Santos. So I guess Brasilia was buying the oil from Russia, and this vessel is detained now by Swedish authorities. Let's see what they're gonna do with it. Will they steal the oil and the vessel, or will they eventually release this vessel, as it was the case quite a few times before. And dear friends, you know, this piracy on high sea, piracy from NATO countries will of course continue, and this attempt to harass commercial shipping that is linked one way or another with the Russian Federation, because NATO leadership of NATO member states are quite open in their demands or in their tasks, basically, or intents. They want to introduce some sort of maritime blockade on the European part of Russian Federation, at least on the European part. And that's from where all these attacks on Russian portal infrastructure is coming from, all these attacks on vessels, direct kinetic attacks, and also hijackings and piracies. And this will continue, unfortunately, this will continue until Moscow, Russian leadership will make decision to strike back. And with such a force and scale that will bring Western elites to their senses. Until then, well, it's only a matter of time when yet another act of piracy will take place. It might happen today, tomorrow, day after, or literally every freaking day. Also, when it comes to terrorist activity, terror campaign that West is waging against Russian Federation, let me give you an update on British terrorism. Well, according to reports, UK established a terrorist camp. British Secret Services established a terrorist camp in Libya, in North Africa, terrorist camp that is used by British militaries, British Secret Services, and for plausible deniability sake, by key regimes terrorists, right? And according to reports, this camp is located on territory that is controlled by Tripoli regime. You know, Libya is divided by between two major forces. One side, western side, is controlled by Tripoli regime, and another side is controlled by Benghazi regime. And so this terrorist camp was established by British Secret Services in a Tripoli-controlled territory, and the reports are that recent attack on one of the Russian LNG tankers was conducted exactly from that terrorist camp in Libya. I think at least we can teach the Libyan regime some lesson, Tripoli regime some lesson, and well, I truly hope soon something is going to happen to that terrorist camp in Libya and also to that terrorist regime in Tripoli. I truly hope so, man. Let's do something about it, man. This is not normal, right? But you never know. You never know. As of now, we are stick to these restraint policies, and God knows how long this nonsense will continue. Okay. Some other news. Vzglyad newspaper is reporting that White House did not include support for Western-backed terrorist regime of Zelensky in its U.S. in its 2027 budget, which is sort of interesting. Quite a number of media outlets, Telegram channels, other sources in Russian segment of internet were kind of celebratory about this information. Although I find nothing there to be celebrated, because people should not forget that there is an open part of U.S. budget, or the Pentagon budget, and there is a closed one, right? There is a black budget too for all sorts of black ops, right? And it's billions, it's tens of billions, hundreds of billions of dollars actually that goes through that black budget. So if anybody thinks that U.S. leadership suddenly will stop any assistance to Kyiv regime, then I don't know, man, how people can be that naive. I don't know. U.S. is still leading country in this proxy war against Russian Federation. We should not forget about it. U.S. is still a leading country in this proxy war against Russia, in terms of weapon supplies, in terms of intelligence, and the rest of it, right? We should not take seriously any these surface level statements or the reports, we should dig deeper always. And also, I think interesting situation occurred in Poland on the border between Poland and the Kiev-controlled territory. Reports are that Ukrainian consular attaché working at the Ukrainian embassy in Poland was detained at the border. He was attempting to smuggle $140,000, 68,000 euros, and 12 kilo of gold, and 13.8 kilo of jewelry. This is insane, and you can see on your screen, by the way, all that stuff. That's what Kiev regime is, man. That's what Kiev regime is, this Western-backed terrorist entity, and that's where your money is going. If you are watching from the West, this is your money. This is your taxes, by the way. And you can imagine if some freaking attaché is trying to smuggle this level of wealth, then you can imagine what others do, man, that are on a higher ranking positions. And when people say Zelensky become a filthy richer, multi-billionaire, no one should doubt that. No one. That should be shown on all the screens throughout the Western world, by the way, with the sign "Your taxes." Yeah. Anyways, let's go through some other news. Let's go through some other news now. And well, there is only 15 members of our community on Rumble right now, dear friends, which is great. Hello, everybody. 141 members are online on YouTube, and I will drop link to my Rumble channel also in the chat in the YouTube. If you can to switch, will be good, dear friends, if you can follow this video there on Rumble. And in case you want to use super chat feature, some members find it difficult to navigate with the super chat, but it should be somewhat similar to super chat on YouTube. I don't know, it's intuitive, really. But anyways, I dropped the link, just in case. And so, okay, let's go through some other news. And the Middle East, of course. Middle East does make headlines all day, every day, all over the world. And we have this report that Iranian authorities authorized their ships with their essential goods and humanitarian aid to pass through Strait of Hormuz to Iranian and Gulf of Oman ports. Tasnim news agency reports with the image of issued a permit. So therefore, if anybody was worried that Gulf monarchies might run out of some essential goods, not going to be the case. Not going to be the case if they can organize shipment of those essential goods, humanitarian aid, whatever they want to get. Well, Iranian side will have no issue with that, which is a good step, by the way, for sure. Definitely a good step. And dear friends, not just me, but also many members of our community and many members of alternative media, generally speaking, and the people throughout the world basically was extremely angry about this genocidal rhetoric that is coming from White House, from US President, from other high-ranking officials, including Defense Secretary Hexet. As an example, Trump was celebrating destruction of a bridge in Iran just day before yesterday. He was celebrating publicly destruction of civilian infrastructure and was threatening Iran to send it to Stone Age, to destroy and obliterate everything, literally everything, by the way. He said that, and I'm quoting now, "The biggest bridge in Iran comes tumbling down, never to be used again. Much more to follow," he is threatening. "It is their time for Iran to make a deal before it is too late, and there is nothing left of what still could become a great country." He literally is threatening to destroy and eliminate and kill everything and everybody. This is a pure evil statement. This is a genocidal statement, should be condemned by everybody, everywhere. That has a dignity, right? People, and especially officials, high-ranking officials, and for sure, leader of the nuclear country should never use this kind of rhetoric. But yeah, that's what is going on, and they are following the threats. By the way, unfortunately, they are following the threats, and we have reports that U.S.-Israeli coalition targeted their fourth time Bushehr nuclear power plant, killing one employee. That's how insane they are, really. And I reminded you, friends, that this power plant, this Bushehr nuclear power plant, is built by Russian specialists, and to this moment, there are quite a number of Russian citizens there still, volunteers, basically, that decided to stay there and make sure that all the equipment that they install and needs constant checkup are maintained, right? And while Russian citizens are risking their lives, U.S.-Israeli leadership is authorizing strikes on a nuclear object, nuclear power plant. You tell me how insane those people are that are authorizing this kind of attacks on civilian infrastructure, and they are killing people already in a premises, on the premises of the nuclear power plant. What they're gonna do next? Strike a nuclear reactor itself and cause a meltdown and a nuclear disaster that will engulf entire region and there may be neighboring regions too. And I'm not sure even single Western media outlet reported about it. Probably there was not a single word said in a Western MSM about this crime, yet another crime against humanity committed by US and Israel. And it's not just that, sir. I said earlier, dear friends, sir, in my previous updates, that according to reports that I see, US and Israel already targeted more than 600 educational and their medical infrastructure throughout the Iran, thousands and thousands of civilian entities, civilian infrastructure on top of it, a numerous number of police stations. They are clearly implementing threats that Trump is making. They want to literally erase Iran from the map. They want to destroy everything. And Iran's Minister of Science, Hussein Simaei, visited one of the places where university was struck, one of the universities, and he shared some information with the public. And well, more than 30 of Iranian universities have been destroyed already. And you know how universities are, by the way. It's not just one building, but it's dozens of buildings. Depends on the size of university, of course. But in every case, it's a number of buildings, right, that houses thousands of students. And US and Israel already targeted and destroyed 30 universities in Iran. They are after educational system big time. They are after society. They want to collapse society. That's why they are targeting medical institutions. That's why they are targeting educational institutions. That's why they are targeting police to create chaos throughout the country. That's why they are targeting water supply infrastructure. That's why they are targeting energy infrastructure. That's why they are targeting farms, by the way. Do you know that Israel and US militaries are targeting farms that are producing tomatoes, potatoes, and that food? They are producing food. And dozens and dozens of farms were already destroyed by these freaking imbeciles that US and Israeli militaries are and their bosses. The scum of humanity, that's what they are, man. Honestly, scum of humanity that should be exterminated and deleted from the face of this planet. 30 universities being struck. You know what's going on, isn't it? I predicted the tactics of the Western ruling class and their terrorist regimes that they are in control of, including US and Israel, will go after not just political and military leadership, but after civilian infrastructure throughout the country to make life misery for the people and force people to fight with each other for the survival. Because they want to create a civil war, they want to provoke civil war inside Iran and spread this civil war throughout the region. And they want entire region to descend into war, regional scale war on ethnic and sectarian lines. This is the reason why they are pushing, Western elites are pushing so hard on Gulf monarchies to enter this war. As of now, they failed to achieve any of their goals, at least 100%. I will argue, many others will argue that well, Western ruling class unfortunately succeeded partially in cutting off Middle Eastern region from global economy, from rest of the world, at least partially, and this is true. They succeeded in that. But when it comes to other goals, they are failing in it, right? And therefore, you can see, man, out of desperation or hysteria, they are accelerating attacks on civilians on daily basis. And just this morning, there was also reports that this Epstein coalition attacked a petrochemical facility in Bandar el-Mashahar, southwest Iran, and you can see aftermath of that attack on your screen. And Iran will retaliate. Iran will retaliate, as they always do, by the way, with the scale that they will find necessary. But meanwhile, Wall Street Journal is reporting that based on mediators, alleged mediators between White House and Tehran, that latest efforts to reach a ceasefire hit a dead end. Iran has told the mediators it will not meet U.S. officials in Islamabad and that U.S. demands are unacceptable. Pakistan's mediation effort has hit the dead end. Turkey and Egypt are now exploring new venues, Doha or Istanbul, along with proposals to break the deadlock. Iran stated again conditions that Tehran will consider meaningful. That is U.S. reparations for all the damage and harm that was done to Iranian people and the Republic, full withdrawal of U.S. Terrorist assets from the Middle East. All the bases should be closed and eliminated from the region. And also, of course, Iran demands guarantees of non-aggression. And no one can give them these guarantees because no one can trust single word that comes out from Washington. That's their issue here. That literally nobody can trust Western elites, nothing that they say, or the puppet regimes that they control, these genocidal terrorist regimes that they control either in Europe or in North America or elsewhere. Nothing that they say can be taken seriously. So therefore, this deadlock are gonna stay. Because I mean, just imagine you are you are the representative of Iran. Would you be able to trust anybody from the West? I mean, literally anybody. No, you wouldn't. You would not. You would not even waste time talking to them, right? Based on history of the relationships, right? I remind you that there was a U.S. and Israel targeted Iran midst of negotiations, both times. This time around and during the 12-day war. So how would you trust them? You can't. So therefore, of course, Iran will continue its retaliation. So Iran will continue to fight back, and well, hopefully, with the help of friends, and Iranian people have friends all over the world, by the way. With help of friends, Iran will withstand this pressure successfully, and also with help of friends and the diplomacy, Gulf monarchies will stay out of this war. Hopefully. As it is the case as of now. And as I said, man, Iran is fighting back. Many people worldwide are probably surprised. And you know, what kind of hysteria was all over the Western world yesterday. In the morning's update, I shared with you information that F-15 was intercepted. There was reports that F-15 was shut down. And shortly after that first live stream, shortly after I finished that first live stream, many sources began sharing the videos of search and rescue efforts of US militaries that were looking for these pilots of F-15 Strike Eagle. There's two crew members, by the way, in each, right? Pilot and the operator of the weapons and whatever equipment, other equipment. And yesterday was quite a dark day for U.S. Air Force, probably darkest day for U.S. Air Force in decades, maybe, because about dozen different type of aircraft were that completely destroyed or partially destroyed, according to reports, all day. But first, let me give you some details about this search and rescue. You can see right now on your screen how this search and rescue was conducted. There was a C-130, isn't it? Adapted for these operations. C-130 was transferring fuel to UH-60 Black Hawk helicopters that were involved in this search and rescue operation. A lot of videos. I can show you actually some of those videos, by the way. A lot of videos on internet of these developments. For example, this is C-130.
Filmece. بس زعل شيء سيتي هيبوه في الريزانات
There is for example another one, also C-130, by the way. That's the moment when C-130 was refueling this Black Hawk. That's Black Hawk during their search operation. And I mean, you probably already have seen a lot of those videos, isn't it? You have already seen a lot of those videos. I shared some of them on my Telegram and Twitter X page. And what is interesting, by the way, these almost practically all the equipment that US deployed in this search and rescue operation was also lost, damaged, by the way. Lost can be used, this word can be used to indicate that either aircraft was completely destroyed or damaged, right, and is out of service. And both UH-60 helicopters were damaged, and reports are that militaries on board were also wounded, at least wounded, although, you never know. Pentagon is not sharing information about casualty numbers, so probably we will learn details about it years from now, maybe. But even Western propaganda outlets acknowledge that two US helicopters that were involved in a search and rescue of downed F-15 jet was struck by fire. This is true, by the way. ABC, for example, report about it, many other media outlets, and you can see on your screen now one of those UH-60s. You see that this dark smoke that is coming from helicopter. That means that something serious is damaged. Whenever from any aircraft there is a dark smoke coming out, that's a serious damage. And both helicopters were struck, according to reports. And this is not all. In Kuwait, another US helicopter, CH-47 Chinook, was struck, damaged. And you can see level of damage, by the way, on your screen. I mean, is it destroyed? Can we count this helicopter as destroyed, or is just temporarily out of action. I mean, I would say helicopter is quite effectively damaged because, forward section of their helicopter is gone, right? And their structural damage will be on such a scale after this that it will be easier to just purchase a new one than to repair this. So that's another one, right? Also, this is not all, by the way. A-10 was also crashed, intercepted, neutralized. US A-10 ground attacker plane. New York Times, and many of these reports being acknowledged about destruction of US equipment was acknowledged by Western so-called media too, because there is just overwhelming evidences. They cannot ignore it. And so a second Air Force combat plane crashed in a Persian Gulf region on Friday, yesterday, and a lone pilot was safely rescued, according to reports. It was an A-10. It was an A-10, by the way, and let me give you overall number of U.S. aircraft, different type of aircraft, helicopters that was lost allegedly, according to reports, already by U.S. militaries. And so there are reports that one F-35 was damaged, and there are video evidences of F-35 being struck. Pentagon acknowledged that F-35 was struck, and pilot managed to bring their aircraft to their base, although pilot himself was wounded with the shrapnel. So one F-35 was neutralized. At least 4 F-15s were neutralized. One was destroyed just yesterday, right? And about other 3, allegedly Kuwaiti Air Force, Kuwaiti fighter pilot, take them out on F-18, by the way. And there is clearly video. I have seen at least one video, by the way, about one instance when F-18 actually is launching air-to-air missile and striking F-15. So I can believe now that yes, probably those first F-15s that US lost during this crime against humanity that they are committing was actually lost due to friendly fire. Another F-15 was destroyed yesterday, and on top of that, there were also reports about another 2 or 3 F-15s were neutralized by Iranians, but there are still doubts about it. So therefore, let's count 4 F-15s, right? Yesterday, as I already said, there A-10 attack plane was neutralized. On top of that, one E-3 AWACS plane was destroyed. I shared in my previous updates, video, photo confirmation of that. 8 KS, at least 8 KS-135 aerial refueling tankers were destroyed. One UH-60 helicopter was destroyed at the base in Iraq as a result of ground attack, FPV drone attack. Probably you have seen that video when FPV drone, let's just take him out. Also, 2 H-60G helicopters were damaged, and one CH-47 helicopter Chinook, and another two Black Hawks modified for search and rescue, and also one CH-47 Chinook helicopter was destroyed. I showed you a picture just a minute ago. And 17, according to reports, 17 MQ-9 Reaper drones were also intercepted. Each of these Reaper drones, by the way, cost $30 to $35 million. So you do the math. Over 500 million, sorry. Over 500 million is the cost of Pentagon just for drones. And when it comes to this other equipment, I mean, then we are talking about billions there. Just E-3 AWACS plane costs $300 to $500 million dollars, one unit, right? 8 KS-135s were neutralized, also hundreds of millions of dollars, right? Each Black Hawk helicopter probably costs, I don't know, approximately 5 to 10 million, maybe even more than that. Chinook helicopter probably even more expensive. F-15 Strike Eagles each probably costs, I don't know, 50, 60 million or maybe even more. F-35 is about up to 1,900 million nowadays, when due to mass production cost has dropped relatively. So just this list, money-wise, is in the billions, right? And who knows what else U.S. military has already lost. You know that those all the bases, basically all the bases that U.S. had throughout the Middle East were targeted. Some of them were severely damaged, some of them mildly, but in any case, several THAAD radars were taken out, and each radar costs billion plus, right? Just day before yesterday, that was or yesterday, I showed you pictures of another THAAD radar being destroyed, isn't it? Probably Pentagon brought that THAAD from South Korea or somewhere, right? And it did not last long. It was taken out immediately. So that's what's going on. And there was a massive hysteria throughout the Western propaganda outlets, especially in US, isn't it, about all that situation. Reports are that one of the crew members of that F-15 allegedly was rescued. But another one, no. Iranian side did not claim that they captured the pilot. So I don't know what is the status of that second one. If that second pilot or the operator, whichever is, if that someone is live but wounded, then better that someone contact local authorities, man, or that person might freaking died while waiting for a rescue. And I'm quite sure, by the way, Iranians will treat POWs according to Geneva Convention. I'm quite sure they will treat POWs according to Geneva Convention. If they capture the members of the PMCs, that's a different story. Geneva Convention does not covers PMC members, but regular army, regular military is a different story. So if that military who's supposed to have a encrypted communication with their American militaries, that's a standard. That equipment goes in standard packaging, isn't it? Standard packaging for pilots in case they've been shut down. If that pilot is wounded, or better, he asks authorization to surrender, authorization from his officers, right? If there is any communication in place. If not, then decision have to be made by pilot, because it's the second day now. No reports about that second pilot being captured. So probably that pilot is either wounded or is extremely good in hiding. Anyways, and this is just the beginning, Bob. This is just the beginning, isn't it? I have said many times before that US and Israel are running out of long-range missiles, long-range weapons, and therefore, longer this conflict continues, there will be more and more instances, or pressure will increase on US and Israeli militaries to begin deploying these gravity bombs. And that will mean that those aircrafts, US and Israeli aircrafts, have to enter deep into areas of operations of Iranian air defenses. And therefore, chances that they will get shot down will increase tremendously. I was predicting this will happen, and that's exactly what is happening. And it's logical, right? You don't have to be military expert to understand that that was the next stage. And, well, it is the case, right? Anyways, also interesting report here from Wall Street Journal that there was another false flag operation conducted by Israelis with the strikes on U.S. embassy in Saudi Arabia. IRGC denied claims of Wall Street Journal that Iran attacked U.S. embassy in Riyadh, and IRGC claimed that this was a false flag operation conducted by Israeli side. Israeli and the US sides, CIA and MI6, by the way. CIA, MI6, British MI6, and Mossad, they are operating together. All these false flag operations, all this terrorist activity is done by mainly these three terrorist organizations, Mossad, CIA, MI6, right? And they targeted their US embassy. What they were hoping for while attacking this embassy, that what? US will invoke Article 5 because formerly US territory was attacked. Let them invoke Article 5. Everyone understands anyway that one way or another, these terrorist organizations, Mossad, CIA, MI6, today or tomorrow will launch a massive, absolutely massive, probably bigger than 9/11 scale of terrorist attacks somewhere against NATO member state. Could be Europe, probably, most definitely, or most likely going to be Europe, but European NATO member state, but maybe US. Who knows what the heck is going on in the freaking heads of their planners of the Mossad, CIA, and MI6, right? But it is highly likely, that they will launch some massive scale false flag operation, and the Article 5 will be invoked and based on that. And they're going to blame Iran, of course, obviously, right? So I don't know. I mean, this one attack on U.S. embassy, not that scale, because and no one gives a damn. Also, on top of that, just no one gives a damn, really. Also, interesting reports. U.S. President Trump, Israel leadership, other high-ranking officials from those two entities, U.S. and Israel, have claimed like dozens of times how successful they were in destroying Iranian missiles, Iranian missile launchers, and basically all the military equipment. And how interesting that CNN, by the way, Western propaganda outlet, is sharing now information that only about half of Iran's launch systems and the drones being destroyed. Around half of Iran's missile launchers and kamikaze drones remain intact despite the months of US-Israeli strikes, CNN reports citing military intelligence assistance. And you know what? There are other reports that suggest that only maybe about a third of Iran's missile and drone capabilities were actually neutralized. Maybe even a third, not even that. And what is also interesting, based on reports that I have seen on internet, I will assume, by the way, that Iran is now producing more drones and missiles than they are launching on a daily basis. Iran, now, I will argue that Iran today produces more drones and missiles that they launch during the retaliatory strikes every single day. So they're not going to run out of weapons, by the way. They're not going to run out of this long-range means of retaliation. That's how it is. And, well, I think it is also worth noticing that in a new budget for 2026, US budget, by the way, Trump is asking for 1.5 trillion and for Pentagon, and allegedly hope of White House is that 350 billion will come from reconciliation. Interesting, isn't it? What they even mean by reconciliation. They're gonna kill our entire country while allocating these hundreds of billions of dollars for military industrial complex that is never happy with no matter what volume of money they are getting, right? 1.5 trillion. And this is happening when there is like 2 trillion deficit in US budget. Isn't it, dear friends, that US budget on year terms for decades now is facing deficit of $1 trillion, $1.5 trillion, $2 trillion. And that's happened. That is happening literally on year-on-year basis, and that's why U.S. national debt is jumping every freaking year by 1-2 trillion minimum, and they want 1.5 trillion for Pentagon. This is insane, man. This is insane, and this is on top of all the secret programs that they have. Trump has requested a record 1.5 trillion from the Congress for defense, more than ever in U.S. history, of course. However, the main surprise lies not in the amount, but in how the White House plans to spend it. 17.5 billion on their ambitious missile defense system Golden Dome are almost entirely hidden in a conciliary bill, not in their base budget. Half of the 85 F-35 fighters are also being paid for from unofficial sources. Can you believe this? So they want 1.5 billion, and on top of that, as I said, by the way, they have these black budgets, secret budgets, through which hundreds of billions of dollars are circulating on year-on-year terms for all sorts of dodgy stuff that they are engaged. That's what is going on. And seems like US society don't really care that much, right? There is some demonstrations every now and then, no kings and no this and no that and some other stuff, but there is no systemic outrage, no systemic protests, no real outrage on a state level, right, in the US, which is strange, man. I mean, I don't know what's going on. The US ruling class, this corrupt political system in US and corrupt officials are destroying this country, right? Literally destroying this country from within. And seems like majority, at least Americans, don't really understand this, don't see what's going on, or maybe they just simply don't care. I don't know. Maybe they just don't care, really. Who knows, man? But this is crazy. I mean, everything is insanity that is happening in connection with the US, man, and in terms of American policies. Also, dear friends, I mentioned yesterday, that was, isn't it, about purge that Hexet is conducting in Pentagon. A number of generals that was fired since this new administration took office is in the dozens now. And just in the past 48 hours, Hexet fired another 2 or 3 generals, and reports are that those generals were fired because of their disagreement with their current policies in regards to Iran. That's a speculations, by the way. Those generals themselves did not say publicly anything, and maybe they will keep their mouths shut. I don't know, but that's speculations on the internet that they were fired because of their opposition to this crime against humanity that US is committing now. And also New York Post links this quite a large-scale purge in the Pentagon with their paranoia of Hexet, who fears that he might lose the job, which may be also the case. I'm quite sure Driscoll is getting fired probably in upcoming days because of the conflict between him and Hexet. And I think Driscoll, rightfully so, thinking that he would be much better defense secretary, much more qualified, right? And definitely much more intelligent than Hexet, because, I mean, Hexet is a total freaking moron, man, literally moron. That guy did not read a single book in his life. So total freaking imbecile is being put in a charge of a Pentagon. Why, you would ask? Because it's easy, man. It's easy to force him to sign up for literally any paper. Anything you give him, he will sign up, as long as this freaking nobody will maintain this position that he could not dream to have ever. But level of decline of US, level of degeneration of US political class and the political system is in such a scale now that, I mean, this unthinkable, like, stuff, unthinkable even some 30, 40 years ago, is a reality now. And I truly don't think during the Cold War, for example, or straight after, I mean, total moron could be considered, totally illiterate moron, imbecile would be considered as a head of Pentagon, right? I have never had high regards to US officers, right? High-ranking officers, generals and stuff. In my personal opinion, this was uneducated morons anyways, right? And it's not just me. I might be how you say, subjective here, because I consider US political class, US ruling class, political military leadership to be enemy of mine and my people. So therefore, I might be subjective in this characterization, but I truly believe, nevertheless, I truly believe that vast majority of US high-ranking officers, I mean generals, right? I can believe that among middle, lower and middle level officers, they could be some diamonds. Yes, but when it comes to generals, no, man. No, they don't have proper generals. Never had, actually. Even during the World War II, they never had proper generals, man, right? And to nowadays, they don't really have a school, proper military school to build, to rise the generals, right? And even US militaries are saying that the stars are given based on loyalty to the officials. So you tell me, what kind of general is then someone that gets a promotion because he is licking the boots of some politician? But anyways, I don't really even care, man. I mean, honestly, more US military is in decline, the better for this world, at least until US is run by freaking globalists and the neocons. So therefore, I don't really care that much. But I think it should be shameful for Americans, by the way, that they have a defense minister. That's what this position actually is, right? Secretary of Defense. That they have the defense minister that never read a single freaking book in his life. He loves to talk about Christianity. He considers himself to be Christian Zionist. I'm not sure if he ever read even the Bible, honestly. And does he know reading? Because that's the impression I get, man. Total freaking moron. Imbecile, man. And how he considers himself to be Christian when he's talking genocide in people left and right. What kind of Christian are you, you fucking animal? If you are talking about genociding people and sending entire nation, entire civilization into Stone Age, which implies genociding them, right? Eliminating everything there. In which Christian literature you read that? So you see, these are Satanists, man, in reality. These are not Christians, man. Fuck them all, right? Honestly, man. Anyone among those so-called Christian Zionists that says they are Christians should be shot on the spot, man, for insulting my religion. These motherfucking animals, man, right? And I'm not too religious, by the way, and I will answer for my sins when I die, right? I never pretend to be a freaking angel, but I want those motherfuckers to be killed, man. They are insult to the humanity, these freaking animals. Sorry for my French, but yeah, that's how it is, man. You want to know, isn't it, what people actually think? That's what they think, man. Those Christian Zionists should be executed, period. French-owned container ship successfully exited the Strait of Hormuz, first known Western Europe linked transit since the start of the war, according to Bloomberg, and they're good, man. Good. Okay. Iran has said many times before that Strait is closed by Iranian side just for vessels that are linked to the terrorist entities that are waging war against Iranian people. That is US and Israel first and foremost, and their allies. Now, France is an ally of US and Israel, obviously, and France is providing assistance, by the way. I never believed even for a second that France is not providing assistance. All this back and forth between Macron and Trump is just a freaking game show, right? Nothing serious there. But nevertheless, officially at least, officially, Paris is declaring its stand to be sort of a neutral as of now, at least. And on those bases, I guess Iranians decided that, you know what, okay, let them then use this strait, pass through this strait, and they allow French vessel to go through. Politically, strategically, this is the right decision, for sure. So that's good there. And as I said, man, I don't believe in this nonsense. I don't believe in these stories that there is some true tensions between US ruling class and European ruling class, and they are in a war now, and NATO gonna get dismissed tomorrow. US gonna withdraw from NATO today, and all that bullshit. It's nothing serious, right? It's just total BS. And this story is from very same oh, goodness me, man. I can't remember necessary words when I need them quite often. This story is also from that side of this BS, right? That Macron allegedly has decided to assemble, to create a coalition to achieve independence from the United States. Yeah, he wants to be freaking de Gaulle now. This guy, man. And I can believe that on a personal level, Trump and Macron probably don't really like each other. But who cares, man? Neither Trump, neither Macron are independent actors. Both are freaking just actors, right? That are taking orders from true rulers of the Western world. That is the Western ruling class, globalists, neocons, first and foremost, and the Zionists that are quite actively used by globalists and neocons for all sorts of dirty stuff because they are situational allies, right? And that's all, right? And therefore, it does not really matter if these puppets, Macron, Starmer, Merz, Trump, or anyone else, likes each other or don't like each other. They will do whatever they've been told to do, right? And every now and then, these idiots are making some statements that are off script. And I think this story is exactly about that. French President Emmanuel Macron called on several countries to unite and confront the United States, really, by sharing this agenda with Korea and France and involving a number of European countries, as well as Canada, Japan, India, Brazil, and Australia. We can begin to form a kind of third way independent from United States, he said during the meeting with the students at Yonsei University. He's where he is now, in Korea. He was in Japan, isn't it? A couple of days ago. Maybe he's in Korea now, South Korea. And this is all BS, by the way, right? Some nonsensical stuff. Every now and then, these puppets go off the script and maybe say something that they would personally maybe even like to happen or something like that. But they will never be able to actually transform into a policy because it's none of those, it's not their business. When it comes to actual policies, globalists and neocons will take care of it, right? These actors, these puppets, are there to sign the necessary papers, to legalize, to formalize those policies. That's all it is. And you know the difference. Macron is a puppet of the Rothschilds, right? He's a puppet of the Rothschilds, and Rothschilds are basically financiers of their European aristocracy for centuries now. And first and foremost, British aristocracy. yes, Rothschilds spread around the Europe. Of course, they basically formed the banking system. They founded modern banking system in many ways, but nevertheless, we should not overestimate their role. They are just financiers, those Rothschilds, man. They are just financiers of true decision makers. They might be very powerful, but they are just a freaking financiers tool. They are just a tool in hands of actual rulers of the Western world. And those actual rulers, in my personal opinion, are aristocracies, aristocratic families, generational aristocratic families, by the way, and their clans, all sorts of also generational clans that are serving them, right? And the most powerful force among them is, of course, British aristocracy. That loves to be in the shadows, by the way, and that's why everybody, not everybody, but most people worldwide believes that, well, days of British aristocracy and monarchies is numbered. They are just a decoration, really, and don't influence much. Come on, man. These are most powerful force, evil force in this world. British aristocracy. What are you talking about? All these other monarchies in Europe, with the exception of Spain, by the way. Spain is a bit different story, but all the other monarchies, especially in Northern Europe, by the way, they are subservients of the British aristocracy. They might call themselves kings and queens and whatever, but they are servants, basically, of the British aristocracy, British royalties. That's the dynamics there. Anyways, few more news for a new segment, and then let's have a chat about anything, really. What this news is about. I mean, guys, is anybody from Germany right now in the chat? What's happening there? There are reports that all males aged 17 to 45 must get approval from their Bundeswehr now if they want to, if they plan to stay abroad for more than 3 months, including for study, work, or the long-term travel. What's up? Is Germany is prepping up for a war, big war? Probably yes, right? Berlin Zeitung reports that men in Germany are now required to obtain official permission to even leave the country. That's quite something, you know. Russia is engaged in a war against almost entire collective West that is waging this proxy war against us, right? And there is no such a measures here. Anybody can go anywhere they want. All you need to have is a passport, right? And then just go, good to go. And in Germany, now they are implementing these rules that you cannot even leave country if you have no permission. Wow, that's interesting. So yes, European countries being prepared for a war against Russia, first and foremost, of course. And I have said, by the way, quite a number of times before that Western ruling class, globalists, they want to keep this war they want to continue, basically, to use and sacrifice Ukraine and the residents of Ukraine for another at least 2-3 years, because by 2029, 2030, this first phase of rapid militarization of the European countries, many European countries, will be finalized, right? And I guess globalists are thinking that they will be in a position then by 2029, 2030 to engage with Russia directly in terms of military clashes, right? And that's why they are doing best they can to derail any possibilities of political solution in regards to this crisis. and also constantly finding assets or weapons to prolong this war. Now, it is questionable if will Kiev regime last until 2029, 2030. I think they will not. I think Kiev regime would not last that long. Maybe 2026, maximum 2027, and that's about it, right? But uh, but nevertheless, they are preparing. They are preparing for worst case scenario too for themselves, those globalists, right? And this decision in Germany, in terms of acceleration of the militarization, and now these possible new rules, according to that Zeitung newspaper, that males should ask permission to leave the country. Maybe this is linked to probability that I spoke about many times in my updates, that number of European NATO member states will engage directly in this war against Russia, will enter directly, openly in this war against Russia by either end of this year, by end of 2026, or in the first half of the 2027. Because I've said this many times before, isn't it? That Kiev regime not going to last until 2029, 2030. So therefore, globalists will do whatever they can to prepare a number of European NATO member states to get engaged militarily against Russia, either by 2020, by end of this year, 2026, or in the first half of 2027. So people of Germany should wake up, man, until they've been sent on the Eastern Front again. And when their grandfathers' generations were sent, when their fathers and grandfathers' generations were sent towards the Eastern Front, they should know it didn't really end well for them, right? So this time around, would not be any different. German citizens, citizens of any other European NATO member state will find only death if they will enter war with Russia. That's what is waiting for them. And if somehow they survive, they will deal with with psychological issues for forever, and probably they will kill themselves. So yeah, German people and people of Europe, wake up, man. You don't really need war with us. You are not ready for this shit, man. You are just not, right? You are built different. And I'm not saying that Europeans cannot fight, man. They can, historically speaking, and that's how so many European entities become empires throughout the history. But modern Europe is a bit different. And I'm telling you, man, most of those people are freaking not ready to deal even with their absence of electricity for, let's say, a week in their own homes. They definitely are not ready to sit in the freaking trenches and go for hand-to-hand combat and kill someone with a freaking knife. They are not ready for this shit, man. Right? And I'm telling you, if globalists will go ahead with these plans, and German citizens of other European NATO member states end up in the Eastern Front, engaging in a war against Russian people, oh, they're gonna regret that they were ever born on this planet. That's it, man. Really, I feel sorry for European citizens that they might actually end up in the Eastern Front, man, and probably will end up. Some of them, not all of them, obviously, but many of them, and well, it's not gonna end well for them, man. I'm telling you. Anyways, by the way, Let's have a conversation, by the way. Let's have a chat now, isn't it? Do I have any more news? Oh, I have this one too, by the way. I want to end our news segment on something positive. So Soyuz 2 a Soyuz 2-1A launcher vehicle has placed the Russian Defense Ministry spacecraft into targeting orbit. There was a launcher yesterday, I believe, and it was a successful. So Russian Defense Ministry has yet another, maybe one, maybe God knows how many more satellites in space. Good, man. Positive news, isn't it? So I want to end this news segment on that. And you know what? Let's check a couple of media outlets for possible breaking news for this particular moment. Tehran has allowed ships carrying essential goods to pass through the Strait of Hormuz. I reported about it already. Ushakov spoke about foreign politicians who want to come to Moscow for May 9th celebration. You know, dear friends, on May 9th of May, we are celebrating victory in a great patriotic war. And of course, there will be many, many delegations that would come to Russia, to Moscow, to join this celebration. Russian militaries launch retaliatory strikes on Ukrainian military-industrial complex facilities. That's a daily stuff, by the way. Therefore, I'm not really reporting on daily basis nowadays about these retaliatory strikes. If there is something extraordinary, yes, I will report. But Russian militaries are retaliating every single day, every single night. U.S. deployed special forces to Iran to rescue the pilot. Telegraph reports. Yeah, as of now, that nothing is known about that second pilot, and more troops U.S. will send into Iran. Of course, there will be higher probability that Iranians will kill or capture even more U.S. militaries, right? That's how it works, actually. U.S. militaries are not ready, man, to fight Iran. They are not ready to fight Iran. They were not trained for that. Last 3-4 decades, not even last 3-4 decades, since the Vietnam War, U.S. was never engaged in an actual high-intensity conflict. So they have no freaking idea what that is. And yes, they might have some super pooper capable special forces, like small units, Navy SEALs, Rangers, Green Berets, Delta Force, whatever. Every country has some small, well-trained, capable, equipped special forces, but you're not going to win a war with their small units, small, well-capable units of the special forces, man. You need the regular forces to be capable. And when it comes to those regular forces, I believe Iranian troops are much more, in much better position than American forces, because after all, they are defending their homeland, right? They already have a high moral ground, and they literally have a high ground too, because that's the best position to be in, and it's their land, it's their territory, right? And they know what to do and how to fight on their own territory. And I remind you, dear friends, Iran didn't attack no country in past 200 years, at least. And US political class loves to call Iran aggressor and this and that, when they have no freaking idea about Persian civilization. They love to say that democracy and their Bill of Rights, modern understanding of the human rights and stuff, is coming from Europe, European civilizations, Greece, for example, and stuff. Some might mention Roman Empire, while in reality, oldest bill about human rights, basic human rights, was where? In the Persian Empire, some 1500 or 2000 years ago, man. Just check the history, right? And a woman Many people in the West might be surprised that women, by the way, in Persian Empire and in Iranian-speaking civilizations, and there were several, right? There was a Scytho-Sarmatian civilization that I am a part of, right? As a descendant. I'm a descendant of Alans, for example. Alans, Aryans, they were part of Sarmatian tribal union that was also part of initially Scythian tribal union, Scythian civilization, and then the Sarmatians, because they were like too focused on this warrior culture, they become a dominant force, and that's why history knows that period as a Scytho-Sarmatian era and the civilization that was holding territories, by the way, of Central Asia, southern Russia, southern parts of modern Ukraine, up to Central Europe, by the way, right? Northern shore of the Black Sea, of course, right? Northern Caucasus, all of it. You know, Scytho-Sarmatian civilization, isn't it? And I mean, somewhat surprisingly, maybe, but the Persian Empire and Scytho-Sarmatian civilization, they were not really friendly to each other, even though they were relatives, sort of. They were cousins, actually, but they were never friendly, and they fought a couple of times, and Scytho-Sarmatians actually beat the crap out of Persians. Man, yeah, there was such a stories too. But nevertheless, relatives, right? Relatives, closely related civilizations, and you know, legends about Amazon warriors, Amazonka warriors, these female warriors. You think that legend is coming from where? Brazil? Amazon River? No, man, not really. Amazon, these female warriors were Sarmatian women, Sarmatian warriors, by the way. And when I say in Iranian-speaking civilizations, rights of the woman was basically equal to as with men. I actually mean that, and in some instances, woman was actually had even a better position. And those warriors, for example, those legends about Amazonka warriors, these female warriors, proves that, isn't it? And there was when in southern Russia there is when there is work is done, right? All over the modern Russian territory, also Central Asia, also southern parts of modern Ukraine that are going to become Russia again. When there is archaeological work is done and studies, there were actual graveyards were found of their female warriors. This is not just a legend, by the way. Remnants of the female warriors were found with all the weaponry and with with exactly the same stuff that was the case with their male warriors, right? Maybe even more rich graveyards. So, yeah, that's how it is. And when someone from US, man, or the Europe says that, well, these Iranians, they don't know nothing, you know, and they don't, they were going to send them into a freaking Stone Age and stuff. What the hell are you talking about, man? Compared to this civilization, you just yesterday come out from the forest, man, right? So shut the fuck up, please. No one interested in your freaking opinions. There are people on this planet that are descendants of our first freaking civilizations, right? And that background stands there, right? This background means something for those people, and you're never going to be able to defeat them, right? Never, ever. Period. Freaking morons, man. You know from where Europeans learn about this knights culture? That was the Alan warriors, by the way, Sarmatian warriors, from whom Europeans learn how to ride the freaking horse, man, right? And to, to get into the freaking armor. And Roman Empire was writing freaking books how to fight with the Alanian cataphractaris, Alanian heavy cavalry. That was unstoppable, literally unstoppable. And I mean, at least in UK, by the way, people should read about role that Sarmatians play in the history of that island. Will be good, man. I know there is a name Alan, quite popular in UK. I wonder why. So it's a freaking crazy, man. That's, you see my honest reaction, man. When somebody from Europe or from US, man, or Canada, or these countries that they don't really have much of a history and culture, man, compared to civilization that I belong to, really, in terms of age. These European countries and the civilization, if we can call them civilizations, they are freaking toddlers, right? Compared to my civilization. And when they talk shit about my civilization, and Persian Empire is a part of it, because yet again, I represent civilization of Iranic-speaking people, right? And Ossetians, modern Ossetians, by the way. I'm Georgian Ossetian. And modern Ossetians, descendants of Alans, they speak Iranian. They are Iranic speaking, man. Only Iranic speaking people in the northern Caucasus, and they're only Christian nation among the Iranians speaking people, right? So which is also quite interesting, right? And so, yes, man, when those European settlers talking some shit about my civilization, I find it freaking laughable, really. I'm not even angry, man, because what the hell, man? You just yesterday come out of freaking woods, man. Just go there, just just be happy, man. Just leave me alone. Just don't talk shit, man. It's crazy. And that's how Iranians see the stuff too, man. When some freaking idiot from US comes out and starts talk shit about Iran, man, what the fuck? Go kill yourself, bro. Or at least read a couple of books. Maybe you will become little less moron then. Anyways, man. Anyways, so yeah. Anyways, by the way, that's a little bit of rant there, but a positive one, isn't it? I will argue. So I'm quite sure, by the way, vast majority of Iranians, when they hear some shit being said by Europeans or the Americans, they think, what the hell, man? What these people even know about culture, civilization, or anything, right? They just yesterday come out of forest, man. Just because they manage at some point to rob the entire freaking world almost and become rich and powerful does not mean that they have this cultural, historical background, right? That we do, And yet again, when it comes to tolerance, by the way, human rights, all this stuff that so much is being talked about in the West, man, all of it is generated from my civilization, not in Europe, right? Although, by the way, Iranian-speaking people and most of the Europeans, by the way, of course, are part of one family. Nevertheless, we all are Indo-Europeans. We all are Indo-Europeans. So some, I don't know, man, 10,000 years ago, we all are part of one tribe. This is also true. But nevertheless, man. I see some comments. I may go back to forest. It's pretty there. Oh yes, nature is good, man. You know what I mean, isn't it? You know what I mean. When someone that only has like remember Dark Ages, man. You remember medieval period in Europe. Let's be honest here. Some 150 years ago, you could not walk on the streets of London. You know why? It was city was drowning in a human feces, literally, by the way. Literally, London was drowning in a human feces, right? I, I I can understand why British people would love to forget about it, right? And don't really want to talk about it. But come on, man, let's be real here. What civilization is there in Europe? If it comes to civilization, right? It's nothing compared to actual civilizations that are dating back 4, 5, 6,000 years from now, man. So, and this is a continuation of the civilization. It's not like it stopped at some point. No, this is continuous civilization that spread. Correct? You think French are good in perfume? Why? Because until recently, in historical terms, people were not even freaking washing themselves, man. Right? People were freaking dirty, man. People were stinking. And to beat that freaking stink off, French aristocracy was ordering all sorts of freaking other stinky stuff, right? And they become good in perfume. That's also history, man, for you. It is what it is. Yes, there was a Greek civilization, but Greek civilization is more relevant, more related to me, for example, than to Western Europeans. Greek is not in Western Europe, for example. It's a Southern Eastern Europe. And the interaction between, let's say, my people and Greeks were much more intense and serious than relationships between Greeks and Western Europeans. Western Europeans, until recently, were not even considering Greeks to be white people, so-called white people. You know this racist stuff, isn't it? That was generated in Western Europe, and they began thinking that, well, they are like a supreme race, and rest is like God knows what, right? They were not considering even Italians to be on same level as they are, right? They were considering Italians to be lesser race. So, I mean, Western Europe is a freaking shithole, man. Come on now. Especially Western Europe, in terms of local elites, man, right? And their history and how they were acting and behaving and how they were treating their own people and also people outside, you know? Oh, interesting. I'm gonna react. I'm gonna react on that. Svetlana Vladimirova is commenting. Levan is burning me to death with this West has no culture BS. He is talking self-serving nonsense. Levan is bloodthirsty and should go read history book. I'm not of here for good. I mean, you want to talk about history, Svetlana, with me? I mean, you're really sure about it? I'm not sure you have read I mean, even 10% of their stuff that I have read. Otherwise, you would not say that nonsense. And when it comes to culture and history and traditions and civilization, your understanding of it and my understanding of it might be very different. And I'm being polite now, you know. But nevertheless, you can talk shit about me anytime you want, any way you want. It's a, you know, it's a basic human right, isn't it? You can talk shit about me, and yeah, I can, and I have a right to ignore it or to respond, whatever, man, right? But anyways, I find it fascinating how some people are considering themselves to be clever than others while they have no freaking idea with whom they are talking to, man. Okay, anyways, now. Anyways, let's. Oh, there was a super chat. No, not super chat, by the way, but there was a gift that was given to a member of community by Viper. Thank you very much, Viper, for your support. I mean, example, Viper disagrees probably with everything I say, man. But I mean, he decided to support independent channel, and that's what he does. I mean, maybe he disagrees not with everything I say, but with significant part of it. But he still supports my project, man. What can I say? Thank you. Let me highlight this. And I will go through chat now, dear friends, and we'll react on some questions. If you have a question or if you want to discuss anything, just use capital letters, couple of it. So thank you very much, Viper, for a gift to a member of our community. Thank you. And okay, I'm scrolling now. So if I spot capital letters, capital Q, Scooby is commenting. Iran downed a couple of more planes. It's all everyone is talking about. I'm confused as to why such a relatively small thing is a big deal. I mean, you are on point, Scooby. I was also thinking, why this level of hysteria in the West is if something extraordinary has happened, right? And I don't know, maybe they were to cover up something with this truly extraordinary volume of media attention to this topic of F-15. A-10 was down too. Nothing extraordinary. After all, AWACS plane was destroyed. Nothing of this scale, right? What's up with this F-15? They are covering up something. I don't know what is this exactly, but I also have questions. But something is not quite right here. This is nothing extraordinary, right? During the war, planes are shut down. Yes, this happens. And to go this crazy as Western media went is, I don't know, man, strange at least. They are covering something, and they are trying to cover report of, I don't know, it was Intercept or whichever media, by the way, that come up with the article, to come up with their information either yesterday or day before, these days, by the way, claiming that the Pentagon is actually manipulating with the casualty numbers big time, and real casualty numbers are around 1,000 or something, 900 or higher. And there may be this noise around F-15 is related to that Western ruling class is trying to cover the story, right? Maybe something else is happening. But it is a strange. They are acting like I don't know, man. They see aliens first time. It's too much noise around the subject. Nidish Kumar is commenting, Nadir Caucasian is ethnically Islam is just 400 years old. What are you even talking about? Ah, okay. There was some discussion there. I would not get into it. Uh, so Nidish Kumar is commenting. Did you find out how much Russian government invested in stock markets of other nations, and also did brief funded that bridge in Iran? I don't, Nidish. I forget. I just remember right now as you write about it. I know you talk about this stuff. I literally forget, man. I did not, but probably there are some assets. After all, uh, Russian gold and foreign gold and currency assets or reserves is like 700 billion or something, and that means that includes, of course, investments too in some good liquids, good assets, profitable assets worldwide, and probably um, on the markets in not just developed countries but also elsewhere. But I forget to go into details on that. And when it comes to bridge, I don't know. I don't know also who was invested in that bridge. Well, they are hysterical because they never fought a challenging opponent. Yes, that may be true also, but as Kubi pointed out, the level of noise around this F-15 is still just way too much. I mean, coverage and how they are covering this stuff. Is if something extraordinary happened and the U.S. never lost a plane or the helicopter, or I mean, this is not normal. This is clearly not normal, man. Right? They are covering something. I don't know what exactly. Maybe these recent reports about quite a big casualty numbers on behalf of US, or maybe something else is going on, but this hysteria in the West is unnatural. It's just unnatural. During the wars, planes, helicopters are lost regularly. I mean, that's what war is, right? You are losing people and equipment. But also, of course, I can understand that some elements in the West will go truly hysterical because they probably were expecting that this is going to be like easy walk, right? And now they are finding out that no, man, Iran is different, and Iran is different, by the way. West is clashing now with one of the oldest civilizations in this world, man, and this civilization survived for so many thousands of years, because they are capable of, right? If you were not capable, you would not last this long. And Iranians are demonstrating this strength now. Also, I see a question from Viper. Nobody claimed their membership. True, he left before receiving it. You mean gift? Viper, dear friends, Viper is gifting premium subscription on Rumble, monthly subscription on Rumble to members of community that will either register there or leave some comment in the chat. So if you are on a Rumble, just leave some commentary. Viper will give you monthly premium subscription, probably. And if you are watching on YouTube, you can also go to Rumble, leave some commentary, and Viper might give you this monthly premium subscription. Every time Viper does it, Viper or any other member of the community, that's a $5 donation to the project. So thank you very much, Viper, for your support. Levan, I already reacted on this. You see, I saw capital letters and I click automatically. Let's scroll. Oh, interesting. Only one F-15 has been shot down in their aircraft's 45 plus year history. Now in 1 month, 4 have been shot down. This is already abnormal. Well, F-15 has a tremendous record. This is for sure, by the way. F-15 is, until now at least, had a unique record. Never lost a dogfight, I believe, to nowadays. Never lost a dogfight. That Kuwaiti F-18 that intercepted the F-15s, that was not a dogfight. It was truly friendly fire, isn't it? They just, some people say that Kuwaiti pilot just went rogue and opened fire on friendlies, or maybe it was just honest mistake. Truly, who knows? But no one can classify it as a dogfight. And so this F-15 that was shut down yesterday also was intercepted from ground. So still, F-15 has a superb score when it comes to air-to-air combat. And it has scored many victories, by the way. F-15 has scored numerous victories in air combat against all sorts of planes, usually older ones, but piloted by, I don't know what quality of pilots, but nevertheless, F-15 had a tremendous record, and it is abnormal that just in 1 month, so many of F-15s, man. I would expect F-18s to go down every now and then. Super Hornets are good planes, but nothing even close to F-15 in my personal take. F-16 is the same, gooder 4th gen fighter jets, but I would not stack F-16 against F-15 on the same level. No way. So I was more ready to expect those planes being neutralized every now and then, but not F-15. Maybe it's an aging plane, isn't it? This is an old airframe, good one, but still older. Planes themselves are very older. How many of them being modernized up to F-15EX level? Who knows? Maybe none. And probably all these F-15s that were neutralized were older generations. So maybe first generation of Strike Eagles or something. But yes, it's abnormal. This is one of the best fighter jets that probably best fighter jet that US ever created. US engineers, right? For sure, it's the best fighter jet of US. You might argue F-22 is better, but we never really see F-22s in a combat. It does not really has a comparable history. So if we take actual history, then F-15 probably is the best fighter jet US has ever created. And -4 in just a month, yeah, that's a big deal. I agree with you. I mean, I'm surprised too. American people don't want a war with Iran. We are tired of their Middle East. Lonnie Littleton is commenting, and I agree with you absolutely that yes, majority of American people don't want this war with Iran because that's what all the social studies say. Maybe bulk of Trump supporters are all for a war, right? And everybody that supports neocons, they are always for any war, right, against anybody. But majority of U.S. citizens, according to all the polls, are strongly against this war. But who listens to people? It's a myth. I mean, I don't know how come that Western public was deceived this easily, man, and this deep, that they actually believe, many people there actually believe that they have a democracy and their opinion matters, when there is so much factual evidence is that this is not the case, right? How many times you're gonna go and vote for a Democratic candidate or Republican candidate and then find out that no matter who is in the White House, policies of the US is not changing. I mean, since the Kennedy, how many times you had the elections and policies never actually changed, no matter who is in the White House? How you been deceived this much, man? I don't know. And you're gonna go in 2026, no, 2028, right? Yes, 2028. You're gonna go in 2028 and again vote and believe that, well, now you will have a new president, or I don't know, Democratic one this time around, a Newsom or someone else. Maybe you will vote for that woman from New York, Cortez or whatever. Who cares? No matter for whom you will vote, you will get the same outcome. That's how it is, man. And why people in the West are still believing that they are living in a democracy and their opinions matter and stuff, I don't know. You've been given more or less comfortable habitation by the true rulers to keep you more or less happy, right? Focused on something else, right? So that you would not ask too many questions. To keep you more or less happy, you've been given some habitat, more or less okay habitat, and that's about it. And that habitat now is in danger because this world that was and still is largely colonized by the Western ruling class could only support this lavish lifestyle of the Western world only for so many years. People in US, people in Europe still to nowadays don't understand that their relatively okay lifestyle, their relatively okay high quality life is based on riches that was taken from other countries by their elites in the West, right? And because these Western elites are based in the Western countries, they are giving you some share of their overall wealth that they are taking from rest of the world, just to keep you happy, keep you busy, right? So that you would not ask questions. And this balance that was in place for quite a while is crumbling now. Is crumbling now, and therefore, I think give it another 10, 20 years, another 2-3 decades, by the way, and true wake up will be gone in the West, and it's going to be horrifyingly painful, man. It's going to be something else when people will first time in their lives will face actual reality, you know. Then people will realize that, well, they've been just lied to, and they knew, probably majority of people in the West know that they've been lied to, that their opinions, their votes, they don't really matter. But as long as they have this certain level of quality of life that they're used to, they don't care. They don't care, man. Majority of Americans probably don't care how many children American military is killed in Iran. They don't even know. They don't pay attention too much, right? All they are focused is their own life, right? but that lifestyle is coming to the end because this world cannot support the empire no longer, right? Economically, financially, cannot. And more and more uh, promises, let's say, in this world are trying to get rid of their empire's influence. They want to become independent. And there is, there is now other forces that can help them with that, as it was the case historically, right? There was always certain powers in this world historically, right, that were dominating. And in Europe, Roman Empire, of course, in Greek Empire, we can call it a Greek Empire in some ways, Greek civilization, Roman Empire, even older civilizations like a Persian civilization, and there were many smaller countries, isn't it, stuck in between these powerful entities. And these smaller civilizations, to survive, they were always on balancing act, right? And whenever they were seeing that world empire that was dominating their territory was weakening, they were establishing ties with their other empire, right, to use that other empire against this one. And for a short time, many of them were gaining some independence, but eventually were becoming part of this new empire too, right? That happened with Georgia, for example, on numerous occasions throughout the history, because Persian Empire on one side, Ottomans on the other side, or Turkish Empire on the other side, right? Mongols and Arabs and you name it, man. Byzantium was also at some point in charge of Georgia. So, local rulers were always trying to balance between these different powerful forces, right? To get better deal, let's say, to survive. And that's what is happening now too. And because everyone is seeing that Western Empire is crumbling, of course, countries worldwide are looking more closer to China, more closer to Russia, to use connections, right, to gain some more independence from their metropolia, right, from the empire, while not really understanding that while doing so, they are becoming more and more dependent now on these new powerful entities. That's how history works, man, and that's how it will work until some point, sometime in the future, humanity will reach their level of progress that we will finally say, you know what, we are just the humans, man, and maybe we should be more focused about some truly actual, truly important stuff instead of fighting each other and killing each other and that kind of stuff, right? When humanity will actually get united. Sometime in the future, this will happen, right? We will just see each other as humans, right? Not as a Russian, German, French, this and that, but as humans, right? From the planet. Humans with history, with the culture, traditions, of course, but first of all, humans. Now we see each other first and foremost as someone from there and someone from there and someone from there, and how they can set up ambush using a pilot. What if Iran don't accept they got him, even if after they catch him? I mean, that might be, I was thinking about it. If Iranian side captures that pilot, they might actually use mediators to transfer that pilot to American side in order, maybe, in order to kind of calm down the situation, because US already is acting full out crazy, isn't it? Insane. They are bombing universities, schools, police stations, hospitals. They are committing numerous war crimes and crimes against humanity every day, and they might do even more, right? This insane propaganda in the West, power of propaganda. And so therefore, maybe Iranian side will say, you know what, we captured this pilot in a captivity. It does not really gives us anything. Okay, we have a POW, and so what? So let's transfer this POW to, I don't know, man, Pakistan or to Turkey, right? And let Americans take it to kill the topic, right? Maybe they will consider this kind of stuff, right? Maybe they will not, because in past two days during this search and rescue operations, maybe US lost more people, because both aircrafts that were engaged were damaged. Who knows? Maybe these aircrafts, these helicopters we have seen, because the videos, right? Maybe there were more. Maybe US is conducting some ground operations somewhere, in some different area that we have not heard about anything yet. And if Iranian side has like dozen or 2 dozen of American POWs right now, and that's a whole different story then, of course, right? Yeah, I don't know, man. US militaries will enter ambush on their own, because entire Iran is an ambush now for them. There is no place, by the way. I'm quite sure one of those helicopters from search and rescue team was damaged by tribal armed tribal men. People don't understand that in Iran, there is certain areas where different tribes are living, right? Different ethnic groups. Tribes, it's like not really correct word, I would say. Different ethnic groups, right? And they're ethnic minorities, and many of them are armed, right? Many of them have weaponry on their hand, light weaponry. And I have seen videos when these locals are shooting at the helicopters, right? With the machine guns, with the hunting rifles and stuff. So it might be the case that these helicopters were damaged actually by local civilians, not even by Iranian militaries. And they were damaged because there is evidences like photos and videos when there is a black smoke is coming out of the helicopters, and also Western media itself acknowledged that both helicopters were damaged, and members of that US militaries on the board were injured as a result of this fire. So entire Iran is an ambush. If anybody thinks that this area is predominantly ethnic minority area, and we go there and this ethnic minority gonna be friendly to us, no, man, it does not work like that, because these people, these ethnic groups, they have lived there for centuries. They are part of Persian civilization, right? They are part of a greater civilization that they are proud of. So if anybody thinks that they're gonna welcome enemy of this civilization and help them, I mean, those are so delusional, man, those people who think so. There will be some groups of traitors. There is no country in this world that has no traitors, right? Human nature is not perfect, right? And there are many people, unfortunately, that are well capable of selling out their own people for money, for whatever, right? And so they might find some people in some areas of Iran that are traitors that might assist US forces, but it's just a tiny group. Rest will take action against US troops, man, 100%. So entire Iran is a trap for US militaries and for anybody that will try to conquer this country. Oh, interesting. Guts Berserk is commenting. I was in the US Air Force for 14 years until I realized I was fighting for Zionism. I worked on F-15, F-16, and A-10. I worked on three of those F-15Es that were shut down from 335th Fighter Squadron, Seymour Johnson years ago. Seymour Johnson years ago. I mean, we have a U.S. Air Force veteran here in the chat. Thank you for the sharing. And well, you said it all, isn't it? That the U.S. is not run by people that have any care about U.S. interests or the interest of the U.S. people. That's what countries' interests are. What is best for the society is a country's interest. Right? That's the only reason countries exist, to serve your people. And I truly don't believe that US was led by people that care about Americans, at least after Kennedy, man. At least after Kennedy. I don't think US ever had a true America First president. All of them, all presidents were puppets. All of them, man. Puppets of neocons, globalists, and Zionists, by the way. Neocons and globalists are using Zionists as a quite effective tool for all sorts of dirty operations, for all sorts of dirty stuff, man. And they trigger Trump to go for this war through Zionists, isn't it? Through Zionist influence, because they're, well, as I said, man, Rothschilds, for example, that are creators of the Israel, you know, isn't it? Rothschilds created the Israel, one might argue. And Rothschilds were, and still are, financiers of the European aristocracies, correct? So they are, money-wise, they were always good. They are looking after financial stuff, and when you have money, you have tools to infiltrate, right? To infiltrate and corrupt. And therefore, for the centuries now, Western ruling class is using Zionists to infiltrate, corrupt, manipulate through different means. That's what they do. And as long as their interests of the Zionists and the globalists and the neocons, that's typical Western ruling class. That's what it is, Western ruling class. Zionists, they might have different agenda, but they are situational allies. They are situational allies, and will stay situational allies for quite a while, because Zionists, they are psychos, right? Entire Western ruling elites are psychos, but Zionists are, psychos differently. Zionists and so-called Christian Zionists, man, they think that at least some portion of them actually thinks that they might influence God's decision making, which is how arrogant one have to be, man. I mean, how arrogant and out of touch with reality one have to be to believe that any action of humanity can force God to do anything, man. I mean, how arrogant one have to be to think like that. But that's what they think, isn't it? That they can create certain situation on this planet when second coming will happen. That's what Christian Zionists believe in. And Zionists also have an agenda that when they will destroy when they will destroy Al-Aqsa Mosque, it's not Al-Aqsa Mosque is also based on that mountain, but there is also another mosque there, right? They want to destroy that, the Zionists and the Christian Zionists, and build self-temple or something, right? And then Messiah for those Zionists is gonna come, and I mean, these people are psychos, man. These people truly are psychos, right? But they believe in that kind of crap, and they're acting accordingly. Globalists and neocons, they are more they are different evil, different type of evil, right? They want dominance, just dominate. They don't care about second coming and third coming and stuff like that. They just want to dominate the field, right? That's all they care about. So in either way, everybody who served in U.S. military was serving for foreign interests, not for the interests of the American people. This is just factually accurate statement, right? That's how U.S. is hijacked and will be hijacked, I guess, until, I don't know, man, until people will rise up, if that will ever happen. Nidish Kumar is commenting, one, they got too cocky and they're flying too low. Yes, overconfidence. Overconfidence is, yes, extremely dangerous, isn't it? There are some people that are too freaking confident, underestimating opposite side. As a result, they themselves, they are causing the trouble for themselves, right? And also, as I said, the US and the Israeli militaries are running out of long-range means. And that means they will have to go longer into Iranian airspace and stay longer to deploy gravity bombs, right? Even if you are the flight kit to gravity bombs, their range is relatively small, right? And Iran is massive. So once US and Israel will be mostly dependent in these strikes on gravity bombs, instances when their planes will be intercepted will only increase. It's just inevitable, right? So that also plays the role, I think. But yes, they become too overconfident that, yeah, we did this and we did that. They believe in their own propaganda, and as a result, that's what happened. Michael Kennedy is commenting, Iran still has a few F-14. I believe so. I think Iran still has a couple of F-14s, maybe MiG-29s also, Su-24s somewhere in the mountains. Probably yes. I mean, question is what you're gonna do with this aircraft. Once Iran will take out all their long-range radars of hostile site throughout the region, and once Iran will deny these AWACS planes to be operational anywhere near, right? And they are working on that, isn't it? They destroyed one of their E-free AWACS planes, right? Then maybe Iran can try to deploy its air force, but it would be suicidal mission, because even all the generation F-15s will have a more powerful radar than that F-14, for example. So F-15 or F-16 even, right? If it's not too old, they will detect F-14 before F-14 will detect F-16 or F-15. Nothing to be said about F-35, by the way. I don't think Iranian Air Force ever had a plane that was capable of detecting 5th gen planes. Maybe MiG-29 can, not maybe, MiG-29 definitely can detect a 5th gen fighter jet if range is less than 30 miles, because of their heat-seeking capabilities of Soviet era and Russian planes, right? Because Iran operates with all the generation MiG-29s, according to reports. Probably they will be able to detect 5th gen aircraft around their 20-30 mile radius, probably, maybe even less than that. And in that case, yes, MiG-29 can launch heat-seeking missiles and take out F-35, because let's say in a dogfight, F-35 is a freaking duck, right? It's not really capable plane in close range in a dogfight. But yet again, how are you going to get to this range of 20 kilometers, let's say, with any of those planes? Let's say not on F-14, but on on MiG-29, for example, which is a good dogfighter, right? You're gonna be intercepted probably way before your radar will see their enemy. So I can believe, I'm quite sure that Iran still has quite a number of its aircraft somewhere in the mountains, right, hidden in underground facilities, and they will keep them there because in the current situation there is not really a point to deploy them. It will be suicide. But I don't believe in these claims of US and Israel that they destroyed the entire air force of Iran. No way, man. I just don't believe in that. Also, Nidish is commenting, Lemon, do you think they are hunting drones with those jets as they are flying so low? No, no, they are attacking. They are targeting Iran, by the way. Assets in Iran. And when it comes to it again, because they are using gravity bombs, they have to stay a long time inside the Iranian airspace. I don't think our US Air Force is trying to intercept Iranian drones in Iranian airspace. No. They would use for that airspace of Iraq, where they're not being challenged really that much. Although, well, A-10 was destroyed, isn't it? Probably it was intercepted in Iraq, exactly. But generally speaking, US or Israeli Air Force have not been challenged that much in Iraqi airspace, in airspace of Gulf monarchies, or even of the Persian Gulf. So if they want to hunt drones, and they do time to time, they will do this out there. And there was a video, isn't it, from Iraq, when F-15 tries to intercept Iranian drone, but failed. It was Iraqi Kurdistan area, isn't it? And yes, on a low altitude, I believe I shared the video in one of the previous updates. This F-15 was flying on low altitude, on low speed, trying to take out the drone, but it failed. Because F-15 is a good fighter jet, but it's not really as capable on a low speed as, let's say, Russian planes are, right? And it failed to intercept drone, but yes, they are engaged, but when it comes to Iranian airspace, I think they do strike missions. And in some cases, they are, Iranian geography, by the way, it's mountains all over the place. It's mountainous country, very mountainous country, right? And in some cases, maybe it's just technically either impossible or very difficult to target whatever you want to target if there is mountains around, right? So they are forced maybe to fly low altitude, and once they drop altitude, then they are easy target for Iranian heat-seeking missiles, ground-based heat-seeking missiles. And that F-15, I believe, was intercepted by a heat-seeking missile. And they have a small range. Ground-based heat-seeking missiles are short-range missiles, right? They also cannot intercept plane like on 10-kilometer height. I don't think they are capable of that. To intercept plane on a high altitude, you need to deploy medium or long range interceptor, like Buk, for example, medium range, or S-300 for a long range. But on an altitude less than 3 kilometers, you can deploy actually ground-based heat-seeking short-range missiles. And the Iranians are using these tactics quite successfully. They damaged F-35, they intercepted F-15, they also damaged FA-18, right? I showed video a couple of days ago. So, and numerous drones, by the way, Israeli and American drones. School-based commenting our habitat based on the resources of other habitats. That's exactly, yes, that was my point actually. Western ruling class, I mean, in order to keep their base safe, and their base is located, it happens so that their base is located in the Western world, right? Western Europe, US, Canada, Western world. And to keep people happy as much as possible, they don't really care about these people that live in the Western world, but they want to keep safe their own base, right? Themselves to be safe. So therefore, they will, they do spend certain volume of assets that they take from the rest of the world to keep these people more or less happy around, to keep them busy with something, so that they wouldn't ask much questions. And they are quite good at it, man. They are quite good at it. Level of education is degraded tremendously, especially in US. I don't even know if you can call that their educational system, what they have in America, especially when it comes to school, by the way. I mean, from what I have learned and read on the matter, I mean, how you can call that a proper school education? Here, when you finish school, if you are actually study, by the way, I mean, you have a good fundamental education, by the way, right? In a dozen of subjects. And in US, people, I don't know what they are doing in a school 11 freaking years or something, if they cannot even tell you on which coast of their country capital is located. What kind of education is that? And if they cannot point out the location of their own country, if you did not write on the map, if you just give them a map of the world, just the borders, right? Countries just in the borders without any signs. Somehow, level of education in US is so bad that significant portion of the people will struggle to tell you where the US is located. So, I mean, Europe is a bit different. In Europe, there is a relatively good level of education. Used to be, but they are also now downgrading level because it's easier to control people, man. Less people know, less questions they have, isn't it? Look what's happening in US, man. US for decades is engaged in the genocides all over the world, and people are eating their freaking burgers, man. Shopping in a Tesco and filling their tank with their relatively cheap gas, and they're happy. They don't give a fuck what's going on around and how many millions of people their country have killed. They simply don't care, man. And why is that? Because they have no education. They did not reach that level of intellectual development to care, to have empathy. Because with education, your culture is increasing, right? More you read, better human being you're becoming, right? Because you are learning stuff. You're beginning to feel empathy to other people. Your culture is increasing. But if you don't read nothing, if you don't know nothing, you don't care about anything, really. And that's how, even though West is committing so much crime against humanity and terrorizes literally everything they can terrorize, societies in the West that love to talk to others from a high moral ground, if they have one, don't care about any of it. Isn't this is insane? I'm scrolling, dear friends, if you are wondering what am I looking at. On the right side on the StreamYard, there is a chat, by the way, that I can see comments from both YouTube and Rumble, and I was just scrolling to see if there is any question or the comments directed to me. Let me check, by the way. Oh, dear friends, there was a... By the way, there was a super chat. Thanks God I checked it right now. There was a super chat on Rumble. Why you did not write about it in chat with capital letters? That look at the super chat. Let me highlight the super chat, dear friends. So there was a... Okay, now I will highlight super chat from Scooby, dear friends. So let's start from this one. And I don't read super chat before I open it on the screen. I'm reading together with you, dear friends. Maybe I should read it first to make sure that there is no swearing, but Scooby is always correct towards community, towards me, so I don't afraid that he would write some nasty stuff there. But ideally, I have to read first, of course. And so let's read. I've been sending you super chats about this coming blockade on Russia for 6 months now. So is there a solution that involves Chinese help? China will not help. You see, there is a solution, Scooby. There is a solution, and I spoke about these solutions. But whenever I say something that we have to take some steps against Western ruling class in such a scale and scope that, and with such a force and scale that will force globalists to come to their senses and act more adequately, I've been called bloodthirsty. That's what Svetlana did, isn't it? Like today, she called me bloodthirsty. For what, man? Do you want your ports to be safe? You want it, isn't it? So how you gonna deter Western ruling class that don't take any of your warnings seriously? If they only understand language of force, then that's the language that you have to use. It's not about being bloodthirsty or like peace-loving, like angel or something, right? It's about reality. It's about a real world. And in this world, if we are, realistics, then you have to understand that there is sometimes you might deal with the opponents that only understand language of force. Anything else will work against you, because every time you try to act with restraint, you will encourage your enemy to become even more hostile, because they will think you are weak. And that's exactly the dynamics in between Western ruling class and Russia. We are observing this for how many years now, correct? So there is a solution, and this solution is not pretty, not nice, but only possible one, only practical one, which is to retaliate with such a force and scale that will force globalists, Western ruling class, to actually take Moscow's warnings seriously and began de-escalate. Anything else will not work. And China not gonna get involved in our fight, really. Not directly. Right? If there is direct open war between European NATO member states and Russia, in that case, I can see China is helping out Russia with direct military involvement. In that case. But other than that, as long as this war stays as a proxy war, China will assist her with some different means, right? But would not get engaged directly. And China assists, of course, right? We have a business, companies are doing business together, including from military industrial complex. I don't think this is that much of a secret, right? And stuff. Rumors are that Chinese military experts, specialists, being allowed on Russian territory to study modern warfare, right? That they can use, for example, if they've been attacked. So cooperation between Russia and China is on a high level, Scooby. But yet again, China directly, militarily, will only get involved if there is an open war between NATO and Russia. As long as the war is in this proxy state, they will stay out of it and will call constantly for negotiations, as they do in regards to this current conflict in Middle East. And such a stand makes sense, right? And when it comes to shipping and their protection of their navigation, yet again, the same goes for that. China would not send its maritime assets towards harm's way until there is actually open war and all the lines are well known, right? They would not risk it. After all, EU is a massive European economy, is a massive source of income for China. We should keep that in mind too. Compared to Europe, Russia-Chinese trade is just tiny, right? So Beijing is thinking about everything, right? They are very practical. They have practical mindset, business mindset, and if they would not risk her with their, they would not risk her too much if until there is direct open war between West and Russia. If and when European elites will trigger direct military confrontation between at least number of European NATO member states and Russia, and they are planning to do this. I spoke about it many times. At that point, China might take action and send its militaries, maybe naval assets or whatever. China will then activate itself. Quite sure about, but not before that. But we can deter Western ruling class. We can deter Western ruling class, but not with a restraint policy. And I mean, dear friends, is there anybody in the chat who truly believes, with full honesty, that with the Western elites, you can achieve something with the only warnings or the diplomacy. I mean, is there anybody in the chat who believes that anything other than force will work with the Western ruling class? Thank you very much, Scooby, for your super chat and the $10 donation. And there was on Rumble, and there was another super chat also. I almost missed it. You know, thanks God I checked Rumble. I'm gonna check every 5 minutes now. You know, sometimes you are just involved in a discussion and you just forget some basic stuff that I have to monitor the program itself, how program is doing. And so another super chat also from Scooby. Thank you very much, Scooby, for another super chat. And Scooby is commenting. Thank you very much, Scooby, for another super chat and $5 donation. And Scooby is commenting: the bridge in Iran was a BRI, BRI. No better example of China builds USA bombs than that. Yeah. Yes, this was a new bridge. It was I believe there was a bridge there, by the way. This one that US just bombed was a new one and was not even completely finished yet. Right? It was a new build bridge, and probably was financed by China. Right? Through numerous infrastructural projects that China is financing throughout their trade routes, right? And I believe there was an old bridge there. But yeah, quite an example. China builds, USA bombs, man. Really, that's a slogan, you know, that can be used. Based on facts. I believe there was probably there was Chinese investment there, because China is big, isn't it? Throughout this Шелковый путь. How say Шелковый путь, for God's sake, man? Throughout the Silk Road project, of course, China is investing tremendously. So thank you very much, Scooby. And there was another super chat from Scooby. Scooby is commenting: I miss Svetlana. What's up? She decided that she didn't unsubscribe or what? She went mad at me several times now. I appreciate that she's whenever she is watching, she's active in the chat, and I'm thankful for time and attention. But sometimes she's just too tough on me, man. She's too critical. But nevertheless, we can agree to disagree with each other, man. And I appreciate critical take too. I might disagree. I mean, she called me what? Bloodthirsty. I disagree with that, man. But she don't knows me personally, so therefore, God knows what kind of impression she got from my videos, right? I'm anything but bloodthirsty, man, in real life. But when it comes to politics and geopolitics and commenting all these developments, yet again, I mean, there are topics when objective reality dictates certain steps that will work most likely, and when you talk about it, some people might say, well, you being now nasty and bloodthirsty and stuff, aggressive. I'm not aggressive, man. It's just objective reality. Who can on this planet believe that you can actually persuade globalists, Western ruling elites, with the words, by the way, with the kind words, to calm down, right, and to do with Russia business normally, right? Who can actually believe that Western ruling class will stop acting against Russia just because we will ask them to do so? If we will ask, you know what, come on guys, let's no longer bomb our territories with your long-range weapons, and will they stop? Honestly, man, they would not, right? They would not listen to us. And they did not listen to, like, I don't know, man, 100 warnings already from Russian officials, and that they will continue to ignore us, man. This is just a objective reality. I mean, and I'm not willing to ignore objective reality just because someone might call me freaking bloodthirsty or something. I'm not bloodthirsty, man. I don't want any wars to be anywhere, and if anything, I want all people to freaking live in peace and be happy, right? That's all I want, man. I don't hate nobody, thanks God, right? And sometimes if I go emotional and say some shit, come on, man, we all are humans. Sometimes we all go emotional and say some shit. That's what humans do. So let's not be also hypocritical, right? Let's be real. That's all it is, man. So yes, I mean, she will be back probably, because after all, there are many people here in the chat, probably not just because they are watching the videos, but also because we have a great chat, by the way. You know, thanks to you, dear community, we have a great chat. Always or mostly friendly, and there is a great exchange of opinions, and that's wonderful, man. I love to see this. So probably she will be back. You know, she might say a couple of more nasty stuff about it, but yeah, I can take it. So it's all good, man. So Svetlana, in case you are watching, people want you to be active in the chatter. I have seen quite a few times when members of community were asking, where is the Svetlana, where is Svetlana? So yeah, you're more than welcome, Svetlana, always. And we can agree to disagree on literally everything. It's all good. Oh, really? Viper is commenting, finally giveaway gifter. Dear friends, as I said, oh, that's interesting. Viper, dear friends, is giving a gift of monthly premium subscription on Rumble to members of our community. And thank you very much, Viper, for this support. I will drop now in YouTube chat again. A link to my Rumble stream. And dear friends, if you have an account on Rumble, or if you don't, you can create it. It just takes literally like seconds, like minute maybe. You can leave then commentary in the chat on Rumble, and you know I'm streaming on both my channels, right? So you can leave commentary there, and you will get a premium subscription from Viper, who is very supportive of this project and my work. And thank you very much, Viper, for that. Yet another example, dear friends, that people are here for actual conversation and for a real talk, right? Viper, we probably are disagree on quite a lot of points, different points, right? But he's supporting this project anyways, and keeps this channel, among other supporters, keep this channel alive. So thank you very much, Viper. And also just now, dear friends, there was another gift to a member of our community. Pressure washing is gifted a premium subscription to a member of community, and thank you very much. Pressure pressure washing. Is it you, Viper, or new member? Actually new member of community. Thank you very much. Either way, thank you very much, pressure washing, for a gift to a member of our community. This is a $5 donation to this project, so thank you very much. And so yes, let's continue with the chat. I will scroll, dear friends. Now it's almost 3 hours. You see, almost 3 hours. And I have to check Boosty, by the way. Okay. Maybe Anna is busy and have no time to check PayPal. If there was anything on the PayPal, dear friends, during the live stream, then and if I did not get any notification, any screenshot from Anna during this stream, I will highlight during the next stream. So because she maybe is very busy, have no time to monitor the situation, so she's at work. So and interesting comment, by the way. Albert, which Wickler is commenting, yes, Persians being chief among them, but they lived alongside one another for so long that you might say that the Azeris and the Kurds are also core national ethnicities. I agree. That's exactly what I was talking about for a very, very long time, even before, way before US and Israel launched this war, that I was predicting that will happen, right? That's exactly what I was saying. In last 300 to 500 years, dynasties, most of the dynasties, if not all the dynasties, not all because the Pahlavis were not Azeris, not Azerbaijanis, but I believe all the other dynasties were Azerbaijanis, right? Of Azerbaijan. They are mixed families, by the way. Almost, they live together for so long. They all are relatives, right? And they're, of course, Azerbaijani ethnic minority, which is, I mean, hard to even say ethnic minority because according to different sources, Persians are still majority, or 50% or up to 60, but Azerbaijanis are about 30%, right? Up to 30%. So this is our, of course, two core ethnic groups, Persians and Azerbaijanis, that are nation builders, of course, and the Kurds too, for sure. I mean, Kurds have spread around the wider Middle East, of course, right? And they play historical role in many different areas. But of course, for Iran, Kurds that are Iranic-speaking people are also their own, right? Their own. Many people don't go into these nuances, right? But these matters to understand, actually. The more you know about these nuances, the better understanding you have. Correct? So I agree with you absolutely. And I was saying it's not going to be easy, if even possible, for Western ruling class to actually provoke civil war inside Iran, especially between Persians and the Azerbaijanis. Because, I mean, these people, these minorities, they are, and many others, by the way, they are proud of being part of this unique civilization that is one of the oldest ones in human history that still exists. Correct? And Persia is, I mean, Iran is dates back. I mean, if we go through history, by the way, we can go to Sumeria, right? That's how old times we are talking about. Babylon and Sumeria and that kind of stuff, man. Oldest civilizations that we know of. Who knows? Maybe, by the way, like billion years ago, there was another civilization on this planet, but we have Not we know nothing about it, but from what we know, this is one of the oldest civilizations of humanity. This is a treasure for all of us, right? Because we are humans first and foremost, and then we can be whoever we want, right? No, we can. Then we are whatever culture and ethnicity and nation we represent. But first and foremost, I think we are human beings. That's the way I want to say it, because that's the right way, right? As long as we don't see each other first and foremost as a humans, we are fucked, man. Ruling elites will always manage to manipulate with us, right? With majority, and to create tensions between the people. So we have to, one day we as a humanity will come to that point when, yeah, I mean, we are humans first, and then everything else, right? And there are no higher races and lower races, high ethnicities and low ethnicities, and this all that bullshit, man, that was generated by Western elites, right? Western elites, man. I don't know why they went that in that direction, but I mean that's maybe reason is that power is corrupting, right? Power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts absolutely, and because this Western royalties, Western aristocracy was in a position of practically absolute power for centuries, right? Take last 3 to 5 centuries, by the way. I mean, their mindset get corrupt, right? Their mindset get corrupt. Their soul get corrupt, and eventually they end up in that position when they start seeing other people as lesser human beings just because they are from different countries or the different regions or something, right? Or they have a different color of the skin. How are you going to be that degenerate, by the way? But yet again, absolute power corrupts absolutely, and that's what happened with them, right? And corruption is not just about money and their wealth and their crime. Corruption is about mindset too. Mindset of the humans can be corrupt, right? And are corrupt in many ways. And so, I mean, that people of Western elites, because of their corrupt soul, they went as far as to become freaking fascists and racists and their stuff like that. This is purely Western phenomenon, by the way, right? This hatred based on ethnicity and their skin color and that kind of stuff, man. It's something that was invented by Western elites, I think, and then spread all over their freaking world. Because yet again, take a look at Iran's history. 1600 years ago, if no longer than that. After all, I'm not an historian, by the way, but I love history. So Iran adopted their basic human rights, right? And by the way, religious freedoms too. You might think that this topic of religious freedoms is a Western know-how. It is not, man. It's a Eastern know-how. It's Persian Empire was the first who, on a legislative level, adopted their freedom of belief, right? And Persia was actually spending freaking treasury, right, on a building synagogues for the Jewish people, churches for the Christians, right, and of course mosques for the Muslim people. Temples. Persians were building temples from a federal budget, let's say. This is true, but how many people in the West knows about it? Anything? With the exception of historians, right? And people that actually interested in history. You know? everyone should run their countries how they want to. Yes, absolutely. All people should be able to run their own countries, by the way. If they are not able to do so, then those countries will stop to exist and becoming part of other countries that actually can run. That's the whole history of humanity, really. And so that's why I don't believe in some God-given right to exist for any country, right? Either you are as a society able to run country, either you are not. And if you are not, then you will lose statehood at some point, right? And if you are able to, you will develop your statehood. And that's the whole history of humanity. There were many, many, many countries worldwide that were existing sometime in the past, but finished to exist. And now we have numerous number of countries that exist for now, at least on a paper, are UN members, and will not exist in 100 years from now, because if societies there will fail to develop the country you know to be able to sustain the country. And of course, all people should be able to live whichever way they find it good for themselves, right? Obviously, who am I to tell anybody in I don't know, in France or in Iran or in Papua New Guinea, by the way, how to live and what is right and what is wrong? What the fuck I am, man? How is it is my business? It's not my business, right? I may have opinions, okay, and so what? But somehow certain elements are so poisoned, right? Or have such attitude that, well, they know better than anybody else, man. And they have all the rights to tell everybody, right? How to live, what to do, what is democracy, what is human rights, and what is not. I mean, they know everything somehow, and we, rest of us, are just freaking dummies, and we don't know nothing. It's crazy, man. Dear friends, maybe I will end the live stream now. I did not plan to have like 3 hour stream. I was thinking about a new segment, maybe like 20-30 minutes for little chat, but we are exchanging opinions for a good hour more, 1.5 hours now, and maybe we can continue tomorrow. Tomorrow we have a big community chat, isn't it? So tomorrow is a big community chat about timing, dear friends. So maybe tomorrow, Sunday's big community chat will be launched at 1 p.m. I myself don't know yet. So maybe 1 p.m. tomorrow, big community chat. I'll let you know, dear friends, through Telegram, Twitter X, and also through community page on YouTube itself. And just a few more comments. Levan, I think Su-57 price quotation will be given to us in this week. Oh, Nidish Kumar is commenting. Really? That means price quotations. That means you will get price for planes that Russia is asking. Correct? Am I correct? Or you are talking about licensed production in India? I mean, that's interesting. Can you add the comment? on that. Su-57 is, of course, Russian 5th gen fighter jet. Alexander G is commenting, when I grew up, Norway was making their own washing machines, then EU, and all that was fashionable, and we privatized all our infrastructure. The only benefit was a cheaper phone and not much cheaper. I mean, Norway at least is still doing okay, Alexander. Compared to other European countries, Norway is still doing okay, and you have a gas and oil. So you have some good, and you have our biggest, I believe biggest, isn't it? Sovereign national welfare fund. So I think Norway is relatively, in much better place even compared to other European states. Norway is in much better place, but other ones, and I can understand your concerns that EU was nothing of great for their Norway, but other countries are in shit show, truly, man. What EU did to Germany and France, man, and I don't know, man. After all, there is a reason, isn't it? Why people are not happy about things, how countries being run in both, in Germany and France, the biggest continental economies there. But Norway, at least you are still in a safe place, I will argue. But these other ones, man, they are in trouble, man. Can you imagine cascade of their collapses through their industries and their level of economical downfall once Germany and France will enter unstoppable or unchallenged downfall in terms of recession, and they maybe are already there. And we are talking about very advanced economies, isn't it? We are talking about super pooper advanced economies that both have, especially Germany, by the way. Germany is a monster. Level of scientific advancement, technological advancement in Germany is tremendous, and France is not very close, although France is, of course, massive economy. But Germany, the German people created a miracle, right? German scientists created a miracle, by the way, after World War II. And in last 20 years, literally in last freaking 20 years, right? These so-called elites killed the future of the country and the nation, and continue to do so. And people I would not say people are okay with this, because yet again, rise of alternative for Germany is based on anger of the people, right? That are not happy with their situation. But nevertheless, fact is fact, man. Germany, from this miracle, economical and scientific miracle, transformed into this something that it is right now. That is at least confused big time, right? About everything. It's just crazy, man. Rather fun is commenting, I saw that China do not want to see Lebanon flattened like Gaza. Anyone else see that? Why would China want to, China does not really want to see instability in the Middle East. It's exactly the opposite. Chinese interest is to be, to achieve a sustainable peace and stability in the Middle East, right? It's in the core interests of China for many, many reasons, political, economical, geopolitical, you name it. So of course they don't want to see Lebanon being decimated as it was the case with Gaza, but nevertheless, in terms of what China will do, diplomacy. That's all it is, I guess. Diplomacy and humanitarian activity. Nothing else probably to be expected. In terms of defending Lebanon, I mean, Hezbollah is a major force that tries to defend Lebanon, of course. Hezbollah has its allies. And then also there is you might be surprised maybe, but France. In France, there is still a sentiment about Lebanon, which was a French colony, right? And among French aristocracy, whatever is left there from aristocracy, among French elites, to nowadays, I believe there is this specific attitude towards the Lebanon that they separate from Syria, correct? And made it separate, independent country. And it was a French colony, and I think Paris actually might escalate with Israel quite a big time for Lebanon because of this historical moment and stuff. I'm not saying that France might enter the war with Israel for Lebanon, but they might do some stuff. They might do some stuff for sure, because it seems like French elites feel like they've been insulted. They are taking it personal when Israel is attacking Lebanon, whenever they want and committing these numerous crimes. I think there is certain number of individuals in France that are this part of these generational elites and stuff that find it personally insulting, and they want to do something, and they will use their influence in Paris, in their influence among politicians to actually do something about it. And so Lebanon might get help from France, man, much more than from China. Maybe yet again. I mean, how should I know, right? I'm just sharing my opinions about stuff, and that's all. But China definitely has a interest in stability all over the world, by the way. If Chinese prove anything to this world, is that they are good in business, right? They are very good at business. They are very much business minded, and they want to do business, man. They are different type of empire. China, it's a different type of empire, man. They are all about business. Let's not fight. Let's do business. That's their attitude, yeah, that's something that we all have to learn how to deal with, because there are different empires, right? Different type of empires, and European empires were always very aggressive, always, historically. But this is not always the case, not necessarily the case for other empires. Although, of course, empire means in itself aggression, assimilation, and many other things that are not really that nice. But and China was quite good at assimilation of the people, by the way, right? 100 years ago, there was a Manchuria. There was a people in Manchuria. I mean, at some point, it was even separate, independent, right? Manchuria in the north of China. And they were speaking their own language and everything. And how many people speaking Manchurian now? I mean, I don't have stats on my hands, but not that many, I can guess. So China was historically very good in assimilation, but not necessarily like aggressively forceful assimilation. They were using different means for that, and quite successful. Can China provide those flash beams they use to blind pilots in the Pacific for a few moments to Iran? China will, I think China will provide Iran with their mostly intelligence. They will probably stay away from providing equipment, at least as of now. If this war lasts another, not just another couple of months, but if it enters a long period, then China probably will provide some military assistance and technological assistance linked with their military. But as of now, they will probably be more focused on intelligence. So they're not going to provide anything that will link this weapon directly to China. Yet again, because this is bad for business, right? This will force then certain groups of interests in America, elsewhere, to escalate with China. And when Chinese will do calculations, they will say probably that, what, pros and cons, no, let's not do this now, right? Maybe tomorrow, but not today. But for now, there is one country that can openly provide Iran with anything, really, without any care of what NATO country is going to say, US or anyone else. It's Russia. All other countries that will provide and most likely are providing assistance to Iran will do it quietly. Russia, formally, we might never say that, yes, we provide Iran with their intelligence, intelligence about flight paths of that F-15 that was intercepted. Yes, we did it. Moscow probably will never say that, even if we actually provide that information, right? But nevertheless, whenever they're gonna know. They're gonna know, as we know that whenever attacks are launched, it's a U.S. intelligence, U.S. militaries. Americans will also know that whenever something is happening, that's Russians help them. And okay, man, this war was started not by us. Americans started this war against us, so we will, we will finish it one way or another, but we will finish it. Yeah, that's how it is. But China definitely will be much more careful because that's how they do business. You need to be careful about the way you say it. You mean, Scooby is commenting, you mean when I say some retaliatory steps have to be taken? Yes, probably. Sometimes I might go wild and say some shit, right? But point is point. That until you spoke to them with a language that they understand, they're gonna ignore you because they're gonna ignore you. Just imagine, Scooby, you are black belt in jiu-jitsu, and you are just walking on the street, mind your business, and someone is bothering you for no reason, whatever. And you are, you are a black belt in jiu-jitsu, you can take this freak out straight away, but you don't want to escalate, right? And you are politely saying to that someone, please just get away, just go away, right? You did it once, you did it twice, and every time you say you're being polite and just issuing warnings, you're being ignored. That happened once, that happened twice, that happened 3 times, and you will start noticing that, this someone is getting like more and more aggressive because probably it thinks that he can bully you or something. At some point, you will have to you have to choke him, right? And choke, not kill him, but you are jiu-jitsu master, right? Black belt. You can choke him easy. Or you are master in sambo. Anyways, At some point, you have to deal with that creep. Otherwise, it will not stop, right? No matter how polite you are, how many times you ask, just go away, man. I don't want to harm you or something. Just go away. At some point, you will use only language that creature will understand. You will have to. And that's a real life. That's how things work. And that's why I'm saying that Western ruling class, they only use for language of force for centuries, right? In reality, for public, to bias the people, they can come up with the speeches, but in reality, they do everything through force because they only know this language and only understand this language. And that's, if we want to deter them, we have to use language that they understand in such a scale and force that will be enough, right? How this will be done, with what means, it's up to decision makers, obviously, but I think for the continuation of this restraint is just, I don't know, man. It's just asking for more trouble. But yes, I agree with you that I might have to be careful in the language that I use. But yet again, when you go emotional, by the way. And I hate always when I am emotional. I don't want to do it, man. But, just imagine right before live stream, I'm reading news about train being derailed and people being injured, and you think, oh, this is a terrorist attack of this Western-backed terrorist regime, right? You are reading that there was drone attacks, right? And there were civilian casualties in this city and damaging there, and this is happening every day, right? This is not something that happens occasionally. You are in this field of news and commentary, and there is a lot of negative news constantly, unfortunately. And this anger is growing, right? You want this to stop. And at some point, you just might flip like that, and you go crazy. You might use a strong language, but yeah, because you are human, man, that's how it works. That's how it is. And when you are online, when it's a live stream, I mean, you have to have assistance, right, to cut you off the live stream straight away. Then that's the only way, because once you go emotional, you are emotional, man, and you may be very much on point, but language that you begin to use at that point can be just too strong, man, too crazy. But that's what we humans do when we go emotional. We say some stuff in such a way that we should not, man. Sometimes we say stuff that we don't even mean. Because that's what you humans do, man. When you are angry, when you go emotional, you say shit, man. Everyone does. Literally everyone does. Acts similar way, because we are one freaking species. We all behave in certain situations in the very same ways. That's how it is, man. And I'm not gonna pretend that I'm any better than anyone else, man. I'm not better than anybody, and I really hope that I will finish my life in this world, be able to look at the mirror to my face, right? That will be a great achievement for me, because that's important. Of course, nobody is perfect, no one is angel, but as long as you try your best to be a good human being, you are good. I think so, right? And then after this life, whatever gonna happen, man. It is what it is. And I strongly believe that this is not the end. This life, this journey is definitely not the end. And I'm saying so not just from Christian point of view, but also from scientific stuff, because based on my knowledge in science, right? Because or based on my interpretation of modern physics, let's say this way, will be more correct. Because yes, there is quite a number of physical phenomena that are giving us every reason to believe that consciousness is something that just, I mean, no one really knows what the heck is consciousness to now, even to this moment, but it cannot just go away and disappear. It just cannot, man. And yeah, maybe sometime in the future I will talk about my theories about the stuff a little more. But yes, I think this life is just a part of the journey, but definitely not whole journey. Viper is thank you very much, Viper. There was a new member that help out with the project. Thank you, Viper, for your support. You are very supportive, so thank you very much. And of course, once again, many thanks to Pressure Washing for giving a gift to member of our community. Thank you. And it is time to wrap up this live stream, dear friends. We had a good chat, isn't it? We had a good chat. Before I go, dear friends, let's check together a couple of big Telegram channels. Maybe there is some breaking news that we need to know. Nidish is also commenting price regarding production in India, buying directly. What will price of twin-seater ones? How much we must spend to upgrade their existing facilities to produce everything? That's a great news. That's a great news, Nidish. And I mean, I don't even know. Is there a prototype? Probably there is a prototype of two-seater, isn't it? Should be, must be. And I mean, that's a great news, man. I was hoping that India will have Su-57s, and if two sides are getting closer to deal, that's wonderful news. That's wonderful news, man. So thank you for letting me know. I did not see any report about it in any of the Russian media that I monitored throughout the day today. So thank you very much, Nidish. That's great news there. Hopefully this will work out. This will work out, and you know, India will be there armed with Su-57s. That will be, of course, upgraded to India's demands, because you know, Russia has, of course, its own demands to the plane, and India, based on its own geopolitical and rest situations, India needs some maybe other specifics to be adapted on the plane. But in any case, airframe Su-57 is a unique. I mean, it's a great airframe. That airframe might work. I mean, decades and decades and decades. It's a massive plane, extremely agile, maneuverable, right? And it's so big that you can adapt, you can modernize this plane, adding whatever equipment you want for decades to come, right? Airframe matters. If it was something like tiny, you would not have such opportunities, right? But this is a massive plane, man, Su-57. When people see all these maneuvers that Su-27 or 35 or Su-57 even in doing, some people might think this is a tiny. No, man, it's a massive, heavy interceptors. It's big planes. Small one was, I mean, MiG-29 is very small compared to Su-27 or Su-35 or 5th gen Su-57. But even MiG-29 is relatively big compared to, let's say, other 4th gens, Swedish Gripen, for example. It's even smaller, right? But Su-57 is massive, and this airframe definitely allows you to have possibilities of upgrade, modernization for a very long time. And if India are going to be focused on the two-seaters, well, that makes it even, that will let this plane play even longer terms, right? Because you can put literally everything you want in the plane. You will have a pilot and you will have an operator of these weapon systems and everything separately. So I wonder why we don't have two-seaters, man. The longer haul trader is commenting, consciousness is energy. It cannot be destroyed, just transform into a different form of energy. I mean, maybe I'm a strong believer that this life is just one part of a journey. Right? From a Christian point of view, yes, there is a certain explanation what happens after the life, right? Physics might say, physicists, I mean, scientists might say, okay, that's your belief, great, it's all good. From standpoints of physics, that's what is plausible, that's what is not. They might have their own take, right? And I truly believe that this is just a part of a journey, man. Yes, I mean, that's how it is. Sure about it. Oh, okay. Nidish is commenting. They are developing a couple of two-seaters now. Yeah, great. Great. I'm not sure I have seen any pictures or anything. So probably it's, I mean, maybe some design of two-seaters or maybe even prototype was being, images being shared with the public. I don't know, but I can't remember now for sure. But it's doable for sure, man. If, SU-30 is a two-seater variation of SU-20, modernized SU-27 or SU-35, whichever you want to go, right? Or SU-30, actually carrier-based SU-30, but or SU-27UB, Учебно боевой, which is a training combat version. Anyways, it's doable. These are so big airframes, such big planes, by the way, that you can put 3 pilots, 3 crew members if you want to. I mean, you have space there to work with, right? So, yes, good. And I think, yeah, it will be great if Indian Air Force will have Su-57s, man. And I think in 10, 15 years' time from now, India will develop its own 5th gen. Prototype's going to fly probably in... I don't know if in 5 years from now, Indian prototype will take off, will be big success. 5, 7 years. In 15 years, probably India will have its own 5th gen. India might go for a smaller airframe. No, India might go for a smaller airframe, so they will have their own production, domestically built one, and also their own produced Su-57s. Two-seaters, big and small airframes, right? For different operations, to cover each other, basically. Arcane Electric is commenting. Su-75 is not even going to have a pilot. Think about that. Thank you very much, Arcane, for sharing. I did not. I missed that report, I guess, in the media. I know when Checkmate was presented, there was a talks that there will be piloted version and possibly unpiloted too. And yeah, might be, but I'm gonna be honest, man. I don't like how that plane looks. Honestly, I mean, I just Su-57 is so beautiful and probably best looking plane jet fighter ever built. Su-57, and what the hell is Su-75? It could be very capable one, by the way, from technical standpoint. it could be very capable if it will be if it will go in a serial production, and there is some hints that this might actually happen. But it's an ugly freaking plane, man. I don't like it. It's an ugly plane. Like Boeing's competitor to Su-35. It's a F-35. I mean, F-35 is an ugly plane, right? American F-35 is an ugly freaking plane. But Boeing's version was even worse. Even worse, like ugliest probably jet ever built. And I mean, that prototype of Su-75 did not really look good, man. And yeah, I don't know. If it will be drone, if it will be like unpiloted, okay. But if it's gonna be piloted there, it's a freaking ugly plane, man. I don't like it at all. But it could be very, very capable. So militaries don't really care, I guess, how it looks. As long as it fulfills its purpose, that's good, right? So technically, it might be very capable, but visually, it's I did not like it. Okay, dear friends, let me once again check here. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everyone. Let's finish. It's 3.5 hours. It's 3.5 hours. It's time to end the live stream. Thank you, all dear friends, for a great chat, for a great chatter, for your attention, time, for your support. Have a wonderful day, great weekend, and take care. And dear friends, my apologies for emotions that time to time I show. Sometimes I might say some crazy stuff, but yes, I don't want to be harmful to anyone, man. That's the point I want to make. I don't want to be harmful to anybody and to upset anybody, really. So that's their point there. Okay, have a wonderful day, dear friends. Thank you for your time and attention. Take care and see you tomorrow.